perspective of what it was like when I was younger. And I'd look at a child that just lost a red balloon flying up into the sky and think, don't worry, it's not that bad, we'll get you a new one. But in reality, for that child, that's like the worst thing that's ever happened to them in their entire life. They lost this thing that was amazing, and it's the only thing that they've experienced. So I have to remember that to them, what for me is just another, like, oh, we'll get another one, for them could be devastating for a 3-year-old. Or similarly, for someone who's been very sheltered their whole life. Wow, it is windy, yes. Equally true for someone who's been very sheltered their whole life, who has been protected from experiencing kind of some of the hardships of the world, or someone who hasn't been able to travel a lot. They only know the experiences of their own town. That when they go and experiences like when someone graduates and experiences the first hardships of college, they've never had to really deal with that their whole life, or they've always had technology and all of a sudden it's taken away from them. For them it might be feeling like they're losing a part of themselves. And for me, I grew up in an era where that was just coming into being. Like, we still had phones that hung on the wall. You had to dial it with the little spinny thing, and you hung it up. That's why you hang up phones, because you literally had to hang up a phone. But people don't really know that now. The little save icon on your computer files, that was actually a save disk that you shoved in your computer and you had to save it to that. That's why it's the icon for save now. But I have to remember that a lot of people haven't gone through the trials and experiences of life to have that perspective of, oh, we can get through this. That if someone is sheltered or hasn't had a lot of life experiences, for them it could be very much the worst thing that they're going through, and that I should be more understanding to them about where they're coming from. And that to give, and on the other hand, to not be so protective of the people close to me as well. To encourage them to adventure out into the vastness of around the neighborhood on a bicycle, or to the next city or state, or travel on their own, or go overseas, or experience other cultures, even places that aren't the most amazing. And I remember distinctly when I was about 13 years old, and I had the good fortune of being able to travel when I was younger, but my family took me across the border to Mexico. And we were driving from San Diego to Tijuana in Mexico. And it is windy again. Wow. But as we drove across the border, I started to notice that there were people that are just gathering these rippled tin sheets, and they were using those tin sheets to construct these small, like 10-foot by 10-foot shacks with the ripply roofs, and gathering cans and things just to survive. And what struck me the hardest is I saw a kid about 13 years old, just like me, who was helping his younger brother and his parents build this little house. And that is the first time in my whole life up to that point that I realized that I am a spoiled brat. I've had a very fortunate life, and that I did not at all have a grasp on the world that I once thought I had. That seeing another child just like me living with such a drastically, terrifyingly different life, I think that could have been me if I was just born in another place in the world to another family. That could have absolutely been me. So that was the first in real time, I got to see through the eyes of another person who is my age. And that gave me empathy. And I think travel is a great way to broaden those horizons, to step out of your own perspective, to be able to see a different culture, a different space, a different economy, a different way of living, entirely different value systems and belief systems of a whole culture and how that affects people. And it makes you realize that the world is a big place, but yet it's also a small place, that you can fly around very quickly to see completely different places than you're used to, yet understand that your life, your world is nothing at all like theirs, and that's kind of all right. That sometimes these varying beliefs and ways of living aren't evil or terrible. It's just how they do it and how they believe and how they live. And that we can learn from them, that there are other places in the world and in the country that do things amazingly well and equally amazingly terrible. But if we never travel, we never get to see what they do right and maybe learn for ourselves, or see what they do wrong and aspire not to mimic that. So I think travel is an excellent way to broaden one's horizon, no matter how old you are. And again, I didn't really appreciate it until I was probably over 18 and got to look back at my experiences when I was younger and went, no, there were definitely moments that helped me understand how fortunate I was to live the life I did.